Sure. It actually does all kind of work like a credit from the seller. So what a buy down is, there are two types of buy downs. There's a temporary buy down and a permanent buy down. A permanent buy down is when the seller contributes money for the buyer to permanently buy down their rate, which is also synonymous with paying points. So example, let's say the loan amount is $500,000. 1 point is equal to 1%. So let's say that the seller contributed $5,000 to the buyer for them to buy down their interest rate permanently. That would take their rate down about 1/4%. So let's say rates were at 6.5%. That point would buy the buyer's rate down to about 6.25. So not going to change the payment all that much month to month, but over 30 years, it adds up. Okay. That's a permanent buy down. A temporary buy down is when the seller contributes money to the buyer, to the buyer's lender. It's to the buyer, but we hold the money and we temporarily buy down the rate. Okay, so this gets really cool. So a 3-2-1 buy down means that the interest rate for the first year would be 3% less than the current market rate. So as an example, let's say the interest rate currently was 6.5%. In theory, a 3-2-1 buy down would get the buyer a 3.5% interest rate for year one. It would be 4.5% for year two, and then 5.5% from years 3, and then it would go to 6.5% from years 4 through 30. So the seller is going to contribute money that the lender holds so that we can use that money to offset the lower interest that we are collecting every month, right? Because if you think about it, if the market rate is 6.5% and we are collecting 3.5%, we're losing money every month. That's not sustainable. We can't do that. So we take the money that the seller gives us and we use that to combine it with the lower interest to make us whole. The buyer gets a lower interest rate and the seller gets to move a property that maybe they couldn't move before because it's been sitting or whatever. Okay. So it's a phenomenal product for a buyer to get a lower rate, and a seller, instead of maybe dropping the purchase price $25,000, the seller can then maybe offer that to a buyer to incentivize the buyer to pay market price for the house so that they don't have to actually drop the price and lose money.